Holy crap, we're live? Could it be?
What?
Are you serious? I don't believe you.
No.
I think
It's
you're
possible.
lying to me. Fake news.
I'm sorry, but that's no longer a thing anymore.
Not a thing anymore.
And if it's still a thing now, it won't be after January 3rd.
No.
20th.
January
20th,
20th.
but-
Thank you. It's November 3rd and January 20th.
Okay.
I was so
Yes.
hopeful.
You got your months swapped there a little bit. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We'll
All
get there.
very confusing.
No, it's not.
We'll hang out here a minute as we just kind of let people file in.
You gonna make the post?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Let me grab this link here real quick. Gotta let the peeps in the server know what's going on.
I mean,
Gadoosh.
maybe they should, hit that bell notification and be notified
What?
whenever we go live.
Or follow us on
Yeah.
Twitter.
No
Revolutionary.
Discord. No link. We are not playing Apex Legends.
That is not what this is.
That is not what we're doing.
This is many things. That is not one of them.
Oh man. How
Yeah,
you guys
it
doing?
says we're live.
Are you speaking to us or the chat at large?
I'm speaking to you guys. You guys.
Oh, shit.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing real good. I just beat a video game that I've been playing with some friends, Night in the Woods.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we've been playing it for a while, and yeah, we have defeated it, and now we're gonna probably play Undertale because we like to play visual novels in this house.
Hell yeah.
I've heard very good things. I haven't played it, but I've heard amazing things about Undertale. So
Yeah, agreed.
So we'll do that one next, because I mean we've all already beat it, except one of our friends hasn't beaten it, but they've seen the playthrough. But we all love Undertale, so we just wanna play through it and just have fun
Well, there you
reading
go.
visual novels together.
Hell yeah.
That's cool.
And Brian, I will tell you how I'm feeling after Monday at 7 o'clock Pacific.
You got them mid-turns. Midterms? Midterms.
Mid-turns.
I can talk.
It's like
Hooray!
U-turn, except it's mid.
Except you're in the middle.
Pretty mid, Cam.
It's like a U-turn, but you stop halfway. So
Exactly.
It's just a fancy name for a left turn.
Exactly.
Also, tweet is out. We have tweeted, my dudes.
Hell yeah. Well, welcome everybody. I'm sure more people will continue to file in. But yeah, if you haven't guessed, we're talking about the good RWBYs.
Woo!
And yeah, I am your host today, Brian. I am the head of the audio department here at RWBY Productions, and I am the voice of Neptune in RWBY Aburged. And today with me I have...
Hi, my name is Ian, and I am the only sane person here. Please help.
Probably true.
Brian
That
has
is
gone
true.
crazy and taken over the psychiatric ward of this hospital.
Debatable.
But in all realism, I handle the technical side of this podcast, and I'm an admin for the RWBY Productions Discord server. If you're having any particular problems, please let me know. I will be more than happy to listen to whatever you have to say.
Which also, if you're not in that server, how come? Why?
Yeah, dude, we have a RWBY Volume 8 spoiler discussion area where people can talk about the episodes. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, Forrest, who are you?
Oh, me? I'm me, actually.
Whoa.
I'm
That's
Big
not
brain.
here
all.
to talk about RWBY.
Nah,
Holy shit.
That's what I do.
that's insane.
He's a singular being in space-time that only exists during this period between 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 at the very latest.
Yeah.
After that, he
I
disappears and
cease to exist in
Yeah.
between those times.
then you just reappear next week as if nothing's happened at all.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Hey, Katie, who are you?
Hi guys, I'm Katie Johnson. I do things at RWBY. I'm a producer. I'm a directory person. I am an actress. I do the voiceover things, and I've done some writey things before. I just, I vibe with RWBY. I also help with our social media. Follow us on Twitter, RBWYABRG. And of course, we have a Patreon and a Patreon Discord server where I hosted a watch party for episodes 1 and 2 of RWBY because they come out free after a week of being released for for Rooster Teeth First members. So we wanted to try doing a little watch party with our patrons, and it went really well. We had a few patrons come and join us, and we also like to do discussions after each episode to discuss theories. And some of our patrons had some really interesting theories that I want to bring up on the podcast later today.
Hell
So
yeah.
if you want to join those conversations, maybe have your theory on the podcast, or just have fun watching RWBY with some pals, please join our Patreon. You can join at the $2 level, and that'll get you access to that server. And we do a lot of other fun stuff in there too.
Hell yeah. Sounds good.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We do very much. I mean, we like all of our fans, but we like our patrons just a little more. So.
But nah, we do offer a lot of stuff in our public server. Arguably, there's lots more conversations like
That's
with our RWBY
true.
spoiler chats there.
Yeah,
Like
the
that's where a lot
spoiler
of the
chats
activity is
go
happening.
off in the
Yeah.
public server. Yeah.
But for a more personalized experience and for some watch party stuff, that's for the Patreon server.
Yeah. The I have to mute the RWBY spoiler chat in that server every Saturday.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of chats going on in there.
Because
but
I'm like, no, I haven't seen it yet.
I'm surprised you
know.
haven't gotten the server muted yet. I have to keep it on mute, or at least with the amount of servers I have to keep a lot of servers on mute just so I can get through the day.
All right. Well, without further ado, hey guys, we're talking RWBY Volume 8, Chapter 3, Strings.
Yo.
And as we say at the beginning of every single podcast, hey guys, if you're not a first member and you haven't seen Chapter 3, which is only available for first members, and you care about spoilers. Spoilers.
All the spoilers.
We're going to be talking spoilers.
Yes.
So if that's something you care about, see ya. Come back. You can
in a week.
Watch the archived version of this podcast in a week when the episode is free.
Yes. And potentially join us for discussions in the Patreon server.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, the episode opens and they are going through the tubes to get up to the military base at the bottom of Atlas. And
He's not dead.
Yep. And I gotta say, I really love the sound design in that section because it's just pure black screen.
Oh yeah. At first, when it happened, I had to keep like refreshing, and I clicked forward a little because I was like, "Is my computer not showing the episode?" Because it was just black long enough for me to be like, "Okay, is something wrong with the screen?" Like,
did my video player break?
Yeah, so I like skipped ahead a little bit and I saw RWBY's face and I was like, okay, this is intentional, but it was still a little too long of a pause. I wish there would have been like something, I don't know. But yeah.
So, but yeah, I love the sound design that they did for the tubes. And then they show up. Blake wasn't a huge fan of the tubes.
Yeah.
Not much.
Gee, I wonder
There
why.
seems to be a running theme in this episode. She does not like alternate modes of transport.
No.
Seems.
It seems
Not
like
so
they're
much.
leaning into that aspect of a cat in that way.
Yeah.
Tight spaces, just like.
Yeah, and so then they're like, "All right, Penny, where do we go?" And Penny giving directions was just fantastic.
That was fun. That was a good time.
That was a beautiful reference to old-fashioned cheat codes.
Oh my god, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that she's a little special, you know. All of our characters here, they're pretty cool, but Penny, like, Penny is Penny.
What a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at her
So
being calm in the face of a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
they've got what's her face, and what's her face has a real cool invisibility cloak.
What's her name?
I don't even know her name. I keep forgetting it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Is
don't know
it?
her
no.
name either.
Is it? It was Marigold something,
Yeah,
right?
her last name is Marigold.
'Cause
Yeah, just
it was she. We discovered last time she was related to the guy that was hitting on Weiss that one time.
Oh, it's May
Yeah,
Marigold.
May
May
Marigold. There
Marigold.
we go.
May.
I wish they would say her name more often so that I could remember what her name was. Because they
Yeah.
just say, hey.
Little
At the
bit.
start of every episode, just like, "Hey, May, how are you?"
Hey, May.
Yeah. It's good to see you again, May.
May.
Just, just a small critique that
Just
it would really help me take care of remembering some of these names if they would say them, perhaps.
Yeah.
yeah, with like all side characters from now on, just like every episode, they're just like, "Oh, hello there, side character name number 2."
Yeah, so but yeah, she got a real cool invisibility cloak.
Mhm.
That's a nice semblance.
Yeah. It's
Pretty
a
handy.
little bit bigger and a little bit more handy, I think, than Harry's. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I do remember in the later books where Harry's cloak was starting to get like too small for all of them to fit under, so that, like their feet would be shut. I'm glad we don't have that problem here. Just like a bunch of feet walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been very funny. It's like, we're too tall, we have to crouch.
We have to
Oh my god.
So they take the elevator, and the Atlas soldiers are come into the elevator, and there was some really interesting dialogue between these Atlas soldiers. The soldiers are scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite understandably, I'd say.
Yeah.
There's an army of Grimm just kind of chilling outside the kingdom.
Yeah, one thing that I think I really like that they're capturing, and it's something that seems obvious, but it's nice to see it shown and not told, is the fact that people that work under, these big systems of power and people that are in these kinds of positions aren't all gonna be these brave, unmoving soldiers that just understand and are all on the same page. And like, it's not that's not how life works. A lot of the time, these people are doing this because they have to, or it's what they've been taught, and they just kind of want to live, and they're just understandably just people like us that have their own fears and doubts and think they're doing the right thing. And so seeing the soldiers just kind of be like, I mean, we're here, like, it's a little scary out there, like, hope my mom's okay, like, like, that's nice to see because it humanizes them. Because there's some characters that are definitely getting a little less human every day, like Ironwood, but that doesn't completely take over all at once. There's still room to move, and maybe this could also be some foreshadowing that there's going to be people that see what's happening, especially because even though the Aesops, they saw Ironwood shoot someone cold blank, they're still on his side for now, but they're definitely the seeds are planted that maybe something wrong is happening here.
Well, and I actually think that was really the main point of the conversation with those soldiers. It wasn't
Yeah.
so much to humanize them. It kind of shows how much the seeds of doubt are uh, are there within the Atlas military, even down at the lowest levels, right? Where because there was they show that they're scared of the Grimm, they're scared of the situation that they're in, and I think the operative line there was, I hope the CO can give us some answers soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ironwood's not communicating. Everybody's scared.
Yeah.
And their leader is not communicating with them, and that's not exactly easing their fears. So I think what they're doing is I think they're setting up to a potential revolt within the Atlas military, a coup.
Yeah,
I mean, that's one option. That's one possibility for sure. Seeds of doubt are there. These are just people that are unsure and scared and doing what they think is right. And a coup is definitely on the path of possible.
It definitely
And that
seems like a coup might be the only thing that's going to be happening. It's just that whether it's coming via our main characters or from an internal uprising will be the question, I think,
Yeah,
is
or
more the
at
point.
the very least, from that conversation, I didn't get full organized coup vibes yet. It could happen, but I think at the very least, the seeds of doubt planted will make them hesitate in certain moments and at the very least back down when an order is given. You know, like being in a situation where like, all right, go kill those people, and instead of like an organized coup, like, no, we're gonna take you down, they would just be more like, actually, we're gonna not do that because we're scared and confused, and we're not gonna go kill those kids. Maybe we won't do that. That feels like a route that I could see happening here.
Yeah.
That's more in the realm of, I think, civil disobedience than
Yeah, yeah,
open revolt, but yeah, that's definitely
yes,
possible, I think.
yeah. I definitely see that being a possibility.
Yeah.
forget Winter is still in the picture too.
Yes,
Right?
Yeah.
We
although
haven't seen a whole lot from Winter.
Winter is kind of in intensive care.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
couldn't do much cooing if she wanted to right
Yeah.
now. I mean, she could be
Right.
like, she could give some information away, maybe.
Can you imagine Winter just being like, "Aw, you guys are throwing a coup without me?"
Like she's on
Damn.
crutches, like, I want a coup.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe Winter will
maybe-
play a more passive
I've always
role.
wanted to do one.
You guys, I didn't even get an invite.
Maybe that
God.
that scene of Winter getting
RSVP to
that,
the coup? What?
maybe that outfit change for Winter won't happen for a while, and she might spend most of the coup, as it were, perhaps in the ICU. Maybe Ironwood comes back to like talk to her, and she calls him out. I think that would be interesting because
I don't think from the bed of a hospital or in a hospital bed is the best place to be calling Mr. Shooty McShooterson out.
I mean,
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean that's fair, but I'm not sure if Ironwood would step so low as to shoot someone who, well, actually shot a council member. Who am I kidding?
Yeah,
council
I
member was
mean,
actually
you're
getting in
giving
his face.
Ironwood a lot of faith here.
It feels like an interesting step to shoot someone who opposes you but is healthy than to shoot someone who's in a hospital bed who might oppose you at the moment.
Bro,
Does that
I'm
seem
not putting
different?
anything past that boy.
I wouldn't put it past him, but that seems like another step off
Yeah,
the
we'll
moral
see.
high ground for me that
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
not sure he's
see.
ready to take yet.
He's already stepped off that moral high ground, Ian.
Yeah, we
He's-
gotta get Winter some development before we could even get there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that
Yeah,
about a
that's
lot
true.
of people, but yeah, Winter's gonna need it right now.
Fair.
Well, I think this whole situation, if we're talking, revolts, we're talking, disobedience, or we're talking full out coups, right? None of these things are going to help Ironwood, like because his current mentality is, right, he's just afraid. He's afraid of he's like, you know what? Screw the rest of the world. We're gonna pull Atlas up and get out of the way, and the Grim will never attack us again, and we'll all be safe up here in the clouds. He's terrified of this.
Yeah.
I mean, and fairly rightly so. There's a giant sky whale floating outside his city. But like, once all of this starts boiling over, and some of his troops say, "Oh, maybe I don't want to follow that order to shoot those people that probably don't deserve it," right? Like, maybe I don't want to follow your command. That's only going to push him further and further away, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get some drama with Ironwood. He's not gonna go down peacefully. It's
No.
gonna be a situation. It's gonna be some good RWBY.
Speaking of Ironwood and the floating city, is anybody surprised that they don't have a somewhat weapon of mass destruction at this point?
I mean, Penny was kind of a weapon
Penny-
of mass.
But just like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that they don't have the Halo equivalent of a Mac round just sitting somewhere. Like, where are these large-scale cannons that you might be able to
Where are
use
the
against
nukes?
Like,
Where
maybe
do you
not a
keep the
nuke,
nukes?
but where's a god? I I want an airstrike, please.
Well,
Or
okay, first
something
and
big.
foremost, I want to say that I feel like they do have weapons of mass destruction. They're called the relics.
I mean,
Yeah.
we haven't quite seen one used as per se an item of direct destruction. That's not
Right,
to say
but
it's not impossible, though.
It could be used as such.
I'm just-
Especially,
Yeah, we'll see.
That
yeah.
There's still a lot
if
of
it's-
theorizing that would need to happen there in terms of
I-
that, but
Look, Look,
But yeah.
the staff of creation is causing a giant rock to float. All right, I feel
Yeah.
like it's pretty powerful and it can do some shit.
I agree. It's just that the Atlas military is supposed to be the strongest military force that we've heard about so far. That is not bad. Where are their bigger guns? Is my
True.
question. Where are
True.
they?
True.
Oh, they
True.
got their big floaty warship,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
like-
that got
Mhm.
hacked several seasons
Yeah, they
ago,
have
and so
their
Ironwood's probably
their
afraid
fighting
of...
robots.
Just-
Yeah.
Yeah, where are the paladins? I wanted to see. I'll be honest. Later in this episode, when like some fighting broke out, I was like, "All right, where's my giant robot fight? Come on!"
We had a few though. But
I'm-
yeah, I think the. Oh, go ahead.
the lack thereof of a big gun that they just seemingly don't have is interesting to me, considering their level of advanced military technology. Did they
Mhm.
not account for a Grim of massive size coming in and potentially attacking them at some point, knowing that Salem existed?
Yeah, that is. Well, I mean, there's also a possibility, and I'm just throwing this out there. There's also a possibility that perhaps or not Ironwood, Ozpin really set out to put a stop to maybe any really massive weapons being made, because that upsets the balance of power in the world. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
I'm
you're
just giving
speculating.
potential reasons why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
just-
maybe, but Ironwood's kind of that character that even if Oz was like, "Hey, maybe don't build weapons of mass destruction," he'd be like, "You know what? Maybe I should." Maybe I should do that anyways.
Well, I feel
I'll
like
find his back.
that's who he is now. I don't know that that's who he was back in, like, say, Volume
Yeah.
2.
Oh, that's fair.
That's
I think
true.
that
He was a more
back in-
trusting. Back.
Yeah.
Back in Volume 2, I don't think he may have gone that far behind his back. He definitely might have done a couple things. Just looking
I mean,
at their level of
remember-
technology, what they could produce, it's just
He
stunning that they
trusted-
don't have something bigger than what they're putting on display right now.
Yeah, he remember, he trusted the hell out of Ozpin. Like, the moment Oscar showed up, like, in Volume 7, like, do you remember how excited Ironwood was when he was like, "Oh my god, wait, like, you found Oz? Oh, we're saved!" And then Oscar was like, "Yeah, Oz is he's checked out of the building right now. He's like
Out to lunch.
he's gone to the cigarette store in my head, and I don't know where that is." Like, yeah, so I definitely I'm not disagreeing with you, Ian. I'm just
I
trying to
entirely
find
understand.
why maybe
Yeah.
that wouldn't be the case.
But yeah,
Um,
let's move on.
yeah,
Let's-
so
let's talk this through.
they need to get through this sort of like main control room area. And that's when Penny figures out Ruby's semblance.
That was actually really
Ah.
fun. That was a fun way to do that.
I
Yeah.
have mixed feelings on that.
I was like, "Ooh, explain." It was like, yes. Wait, what? there's a certain point when I was like totally on board, and then I wasn't. And I don't know. Do you guys know what moment I'm talking about?
Not quite. Maybe
Not
explain
quite.
that
Go
for
ahead
Okay.
and explain.
Right.
So she's explaining Ruby's power to Ruby, which is really funny. And there's a cute little cartoon, and she's like, "And you turn into molecules, and you fly around really fast, and like then you negate all of your mass." I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait, what? Back
Yeah.
up a minute. Hang on a second. That doesn't make
That was fun.
Yeah.
any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Yep.
That's not okay. Look, guys. If I have a cake, all right. If I have a cake, and I cut the cake in half, I have 2 pieces of cake, but I still have the same amount of cake. Even if I cut the cake into 4 pieces, 8 pieces, 1,000,000 pieces, if I break the cake down molecule by molecule, I still have the same amount of cake. The cake hasn't gone anywhere. Oh, this is the first law of thermodynamics, people. We cannot destroy matter. You can
They
make
just
it
did.
into energy.
They just did.
But you can't destroy it.
Yes, they did. Watch, they just did
Oh
it
my
right now. Do you want to
God.
replay the clip?
Okay,
Oh
look, it was a cool explanation, but like the physics does not check out.
No, it doesn't.
It's RWBY science.
RWBY science.
I had a
Oh my
different
god.
nitpicky kind of issue. with
just
this.
remember, Forrest. Magic exists.
It's true.
No.
In limited quantities.
This is basic thermodynamics. This is not even. They can magic all they want, and this still doesn't break this law.
See, this is why Forrest is the scientist in our party.
Oh my
God.
god.
I had a slightly different issue with this. It's not that it's bad. It's just I'm wondering why Ruby could not have discovered this herself in a moment of dire need instead of being explained.
I'm not surprised at all that Penny figured
Yeah.
this out before Ruby did.
Yeah, I actually think it was cute that they did that, and my belief is
Yeah.
able to be suspended enough for this to be fine.
I don't.
Oh,
yeah, because
I totally believe it. I just wondered why Ruby didn't discover it first.
because like Ruby, as long as we've known her, she's just kind of used her semblance.
Yeah.
And there's never really been any like they've talked about her like learning new abilities with her semblance, but it's never really been like it's always kind of come across to me that Ruby has never really thought very deeply about her semblance. It's just something
That
that
is
she's
true.
done.
Well,
And-
they already did that bit in the last season, right?
Yeah, they did.
With the hair, they were like, "Oh, I don't think your semblance is just super speed. Like my semblance is super speed. Your semblance is something else." You know?
Yeah, and Ruby's
Or
like,
it could
wait,
be
This
lots
is
of
just
physical-
more of that.
Ruby's like, what are you talking about? I go zoom zoom. Like,
Yeah, no, yeah. Like I thought it was a really cute way to do it.
It was-
and I was a fan.
yeah.
Maybe that's just a personal preference of
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting Ruby to find that power on her own instead of having to be told in a moment of plot
Yeah.
convenience.
Well, I saw. I can't actually verify this, but I saw one of the comments on the video was like Ruby has done this before with a few other characters. She's saved. I do remember. I don't remember what season it was, but she definitely saves Weiss at one point by like
That's
turning
right.
into
That was a while ago.
and like they don't really
Yeah.
address it.
No,
Yeah,
they
She
don't.
just kind of does it.
That's
yeah,
true.
that was one of the things that I liked the most, other than the mass thing. That was one of the things that I liked the most about this is that this was really well built up to. There was like they could have very easily had it be like, oh, like when Penny's like, oh yeah, and you can transport all of us, and Ruby's like, wait, what? So like, had it been just simply that, right, where that was the first mention of like, oh yeah, by the way, people can transport other people with her semblance, I would have been like, oh shit, that's super convenient now that all of a sudden all of you have to get through this one area very quickly. But because multiple seasons back we've seen Ruby, you know, do this exact thing to Weiss where she's able to transport Weiss within her semblance as well. It's like every single step of this was set up to so that when it's finally explained, you're like, oh yeah, we've seen her do that before.
Exactly.
I get it now.
I thought it was
That-
really good.
That
Yeah.
sits a lot better now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, really good because it didn't feel like a plot convenient. Oh boy, we need some way to get across the room. Ruby has this power. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't pull it out of
Also,
nowhere. This is
I'm trying to remember the order, but right after that scene, is it immediately after that scene that we get to the coffee thing?
Yes.
Or
Yes,
Yes.
yes, this is the coffee thing.
No, wait. But
a
doesn't
bit in the middle,
Ironwood
but
threaten Watts first? Which one happens first?
So
yeah,
okay,
it's the Ironwood and Watts.
Yeah. The thing with so the first the stuff with Ironwood happens first. So Ironwood walks into his control room, whatever, and he's like, Apologies for the delay. I've just been shooting innocent people.
Yeah, I've been busy today murdering.
Yeah.
Murdering all my dissidents.
bit-
Yeah.
I need to
Oh,
get
it's
12
not
more
me.
kills to get to mass
Look,
murder.
it's just been like 9 to 5. It's just been a full day of murder today, man. It's just
I
oh,
am booked.
it's exhausting.
Look,
They're-
man, murder is hard business. I need a dozen more kills to get to mass murder today.
Oh my
They're
god.
really selling the Ironwood bad guy thing. Like he's shooting random people that disagree with him. He's got the bad guy hacking for him so that he can
Yeah.
manipulate
No,
his
but they're
like
still
you
they're
know
still
best friend
framing
ever,
it.
Penny.
Hmm.
No, they're still trying to, like, because I don't disagree. I think he's obviously on the path to being labeled as villain, and some of the things he's done have done that. But they're still very much framing him as he thinks what he's doing is right, and he's gonna do what needs to be done. So like he's got the prisoner doing the stuff for him, but he's still a prisoner. They're not buddy buddy. They've got guns to his head. He's like, you're gonna
Yep.
help me do what I need to do to save people, and I'm gonna like, the police brutality stuff where they're like fucking up Watts. Like, he feels justified. Like, and villains can obviously feel justified too, but right now they're still framing it as people are on his side thinking he's doing the right thing, and they've got support, and he's still a quote unquote good guy.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah,
I
yes
don't
and no
know
is
of
the
any.
correct way to say it.
Well, yeah. It's just like I don't know of any villain who looks at themselves and says, "I'm the bad guy here."
Yeah.
Like the villains see
Yeah,
themselves.
that's what I'm
Even
saying.
Salem isn't like, "I'm the bad guy here." She's just like, "Well,
Yeah.
I've been around so long. I just want to destroy the world with sky whales." Like
That's why I said
that's
some villains also look at themselves that way.
Yeah, swim
Yeah.
Jimmy
Well,
needs some
I
exercise. Let's
think
take it
most,
for a ride.
I would say that most villains look at themselves that way. There are very few, even like in the realm of comic books, I think are very few villains that are just like, yes, I'm evil for the sake of evil. Obviously, you've got the outliers like the Joker, but for the most part, every villain has some motivation, some greater purpose that is why they're doing what they're doing, and it's usually a case of they believe that the ends justify the means, and the good
Oh, for sure.
guys and the general population disagree. And so
Mhm.
I
And
and I
Ironwood's on the
definitely think
path,
that
but
Ironwood
yeah.
is. I think that it's perhaps more of a stark contrast in RWBY because the motivations of our villains have been a mystery for so long.
Mhm.
So having a villain with a really concrete motivation and a really clear, like, he thinks he's doing the right thing, once again, ends justify the means, and having that laid out so clearly, I think that's a bit of a new thing for RWBY.
Mhm. So yeah,
I
if
mean,
someone were to say Ironwood's full out villain, I wouldn't disagree. If someone were to say like Ironwood's on the path to full out villainry, but their show is still portraying him as on the path and not fully there yet, I I couldn't fully disagree. Like, I definitely think he's on the path. Do I think what he's doing is villainous? Yes. But in terms of the way the show's portraying him and and the situation, there's there's still some steps that he's going to take, but that he has to take.
I
Yep.
think at this point I'm calling Ironwood a villain.
No, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I mean,
I-
shooting random council
He's-
members.
Yeah, I feel
No,
like
yeah.
that ship has sailed.
yeah. I'm also fairly sure Ironwood's only solace will be his damnation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
like
He's too far gone. I
Yeah.
doubt we'll
I
be
don't know
able
if he's
to
too
walk
far
him
gone.
back off that cliff. He's
I feel like he's kind of too far gone.
yeah.
'cause-
I get the feeling he's
because
gonna have to go.
one of the main reasons I say it like that is because I think that the show is what they're doing with Ironwood is there are people that still don't see that Ironwood is like villain mode yet. And yes, that could get into a discussion of, well, are the people that support Salem, do they think they're villains? But that's not what I'm talking about. I think that there are people like Winter and the Aesops and people that are going to be swayed to justice when they truly, see what's happening, and that are truly thinking like some justice is happening, and that are supporting Ironwood, and with all the police and the military and all this stuff. I think they're still supporting him, and that if when the time comes and the gray areas happen, there's going to be the direct shift. But yeah, bottom line is, do I think everything Ironwood's doing is villainous? Yes. Do I think he is classifiable as a villain? Totally. But I still think that there's a path here that is more tingent on everyone else surrounding him than him, that makes it more gray because of all all of the systems that are in place.
Oh, I think we're debating two different things. I I don't see the Atlas military and all of the people surrounding Ironwood as villains.
Yeah.
But I see Ironwood as a villain, and
No,
I
yeah,
think
I agree.
and because of and the main reason why I say that I don't think of everybody else as villains is because they are a part of this larger system.
Exactly, that's what I said. Yeah.
They're just following they're following orders. They are in unprecedented times, so I think right now a lot of them, especially the people who saw Ironwood shoot that dude in cold blood, I think they're probably having a lot of internal turmoil, in that this is a man that they've trusted for a very long time and they want to continue trusting him, and they're also military types, so discipline and following orders is very,
yeah,
very
correct.
important. But then there's also this, so there's probably this back and forth in their head of, well, yes, he did do this, but we're in unprecedented times and they're grim knocking on our doorstep, and so
Mhm.
maybe we have to take these kinds of extreme measures. But then I think there's
Exactly.
also this other side of them that's going, but no, that was what he did, that was just straight up wrong.
No,
And so
yeah.
I think it'll probably take a few more really egregious things for Ironwood to do before the rest of the Atlas military, and especially those people closest to him, Winter and the Aesops, will defect.
Mhm.
But I
That is
think
precisely what I'm saying. Yes.
yes,
Yeah. I think that it might be the people closest with him that have to go first, right? A lot of these,
Yeah.
like the guys in the elevator, right? They didn't see him shoot the random council person. They might reasonably have some things to say about that had they seen that, But it's his closest people. I'm under the impression that maybe Winter is going to play a bigger role here, not as a combatant, obviously. She looks like she's pretty much down for the count in that regard, but as more of a leadership role. She's trusted by, like, she's basically Ironwood's second in command, right?
Yeah.
She's highly respected, highly trusted by the military. If she turns on him and says, no, actually what you're doing is wrong, it is not helping people, it is not helping us, and I am going to stand against you, I think that there is a very large portion of the Atlas military that, given the right context of, like, hey, Ironwood's just straight up murdering people who disagree with him now, that might side with her.
Mhm.
And if this whole, like, thing that's been going on with her and Penny and her and Weiss, if the two of them can sort of team up and sort of, once they understand more of what Ironwood's been up to, because Team RWBY doesn't know that he's just murdering people now. They don't know that he shot Oscar. They don't know that he shot the council person, right? So if they can try and convince Winter to turn on him, that might, there's your coup.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
And I think,
but
I mean, I see a lot of people saying that they think Harriet is going to stick with Ironwood. I think that Harriet is going to be the hardest sell.
yeah.
But I think that if I really think that Harriet has the right intentions at heart either. I don't think that she's a villain. I think that she's caught up in anger over what happened to Clover. But
Oh yeah.
I don't think that she's immune to reason, and especially if the rest of the Aesops decide to defect, if Winter decides to defect, I think that, and especially I think if Harriet is maybe able to really have a conversation with Crow, I don't I definitely think that Harriet, it's totally possible to flip Harriet.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I think Crow in the presence
Yeah.
of Robin, maybe with her semblance, hey,
Mm.
telling the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah, I really like all the dynamics that they've set up here and the gray areas that they've set up, and you can kind of tell what journeys some of these characters might go through. But I really do like. I really think Ironwood is a well-written character this season, and I really like.
Yeah.
In terms of, I really like the fact that it's kind of a slow burn into some of this stuff in terms of how others are perceiving it, and like it does feel like a really tense and real situation that they're creating. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how it changes the other characters. Also, we do have a $5 donation from
We
Anime's
do.
Art. Thank you.
Whoa.
And it says, can Penny actually generate an aura? Her string is cut. Volume 3 got cut in half and saved Ruby from a truck but took damage. She's never used aura.
That is not true. She does, in fact, have an aura. And we have seen her use it before. We've seen her aura in Volume 7 when she fought against Cinder. And we also saw. I think the main reason why her aura didn't work in the fight with Pura, and also why we saw her string get cut, is because the string is a part of herself. It's fully attached to her, so that stuff can't be protected by aura. Remember, your aura is basically a protective shield that's around you, kind of similar to like a halo shield that's a couple millimeters thick over your skin and whatnot. But you can't protect, if you've got the string attached to you, you can't protect that via aura because it's already attached to you. It's back behind the aura itself. And so I think that's why she wound up kind of getting cut up into different pieces in Volume 3, because she got tangled up in her own wires, which by their nature, because they're a part of her, bypassed her aura.
Well, I know we've talked about it before. Did we come to any solid conclusions on whether aura requires like a conscious effort to use when blocking attacks or something, like how sneak attacks might work if someone doesn't realize that they're going to be hit? They don't have time to like activate their aura to protect themselves.
I don't remember if we've had a definitive answer to that question for us. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The answer, no, we have. I think we got the answer to that in well, there was a partial answer, I think, in Volume 1, and there was also an answer because there was a whole World of Remnant on aura. I believe the answer was that at the beginning it takes practice and concentration, but once you get really practiced with it, when you get into a fight, generating an aura, a protective aura, is as natural as breathing.
Right. Well, they did the whole thing with Jean, right?
Yeah.
Getting smacked in the face with a tree branch.
Bottom line is that she do have aura.
I think
That
so.
is true. I think that's fairly definitive at this point.
Yeah. And so I guess to get us back on track, we have the Ironwood kind of intimidating Watts there. We see a little bit of the screen of what Watts is looking at. And I think it can kind of be inferred that he's looking at footage of her fighting style. So he's either, they're not, we can get to the hacking conversation later because we'll get there. But
well, yeah.
Boy,
but at the moment,
I mean, look, it's no big deal. Ironwood just decided to hire Watts to do his IT.
Yeah, the guy who hacked your program is totally the person you should hire to fix it.
Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Like, you hack in, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, instead of putting you in jail, let's hire you."
Fight footage on the screen.
Yes,
so
let's use you as slave labor.
With guns to your head. 6 of them, to be precise, if I recall.
So, there is something that Watts said that I thought was very interesting. So Ironwood was basically like, "Oh, we're not gonna need to motivate you again, are we, right?" And Watts says, "Given what we're after, I've got all the motivation I need."
Yeah.
So it
we
really
know what
kind
he's
of
after.
so it really kind of puts this thing in your head of like, what are they after? What is it? What are they after that could be beneficial to both Ironwood and Watts?
Winter Maiden powers. Back under his direct control.
Yeah, I mean, but does it really serve Watts to put the Winter Maiden in Ironwood's control?
But the Winter Maiden wouldn't be under Ironwood's control. It would be under Watts's control, and Watts is under the control of Ironwood. But if that changes, then Penny is under Watts's control.
I mean, the only reason I don't think at that moment they were looking into the penny hacking thing is because it's at the end of the episode that Ironwood, when he has the, when he gets his
Yeah,
hand
that
on the thing, that they very directly are like, "All right, bitches, this is what we doing," which makes me think that there was something else they were researching or developing in that moment.
yeah, it looks like he was developing a program to deploy into Penny at that
Maybe,
time, or at
yeah,
least that's how it looked to me. Because he was looking at her fighting styles. That's not looking at
yeah,
what her systems look like or trying to access her.
yeah,
That looked like he was studying her, trying to create a combat program to deploy in her to make sure that she would do what they told her to and how
yeah,
she would
something.
respond.
Like, yeah, maybe they were developing the thing to put in Penny, but not quite how they get a hold of Penny part yet.
Yeah.
Right. Not the vector to get it into her, but the
Yeah,
virus to infect her with.
yeah,
I'm
maybe.
sorry. There's a conversation in the chat right now about EMPs, and I'm just getting flashbacks to Red versus Blue, and it's
Oh
pronounced
God.
Oops.
EMP.
Called an emp?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the days. Simpler times.
Uh,
It's a puma.
God.
Stop making up animals.
Oh my god. But
Uh,
yeah, no.
so but yeah, so I just that kind of put some questions in my mind. Um, Now Watts noticed that Pietro's credentials were used to enter the base, and so they put out a
Yes.
security alert that there are intruders and that lethal force is authorized. And there seems to be a lot of this plan, with the RWBY semblance and May's semblance that's very well thought out. But the one part of this plan where I'm like, come on, guys, you had to know this was going to happen, was using Pietro's credentials to get entrance to the base.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
they knew and took that as an acceptable risk, considering what they
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
get
yeah.
done.
But they
I would
use his credentials at multiple points, so it's
Yep.
so easy to track where they are.
Well, yeah, I
I know.
think one way that I justify it, and one, if they would have included like one line about this, it would have made it good. But I think if they would have mentioned like, okay, guys, this is a time sensitive mention, they're gonna know we're there, but
Mhm.
fuck it, we have to get it done, so we gotta zoom, we gotta go, we're not gonna dilly dally, we're gonna get in there and get out. Like if they would have mentioned like, yeah, they're gonna know we're in there, but fuck,
That's a
we have
They
to do
did a
this.
lot of dilly dallying.
Yeah, that's a good point in the chat, saying surprised his credentials even work, considering he's on wanted posters. Yeah,
It
like
Little
probably
bit.
must have been like
why
some
the hell didn't they
administrative
shut
error.
down? Like even like I could perhaps buy they like get in and they're like, oh shit, we forgot to shut that down. Like that's a pretty big lapse in judgment, but it's like all right, sure. But then like once they get in, not shutting down the credentials later, like come on.
I
Leave.
think that once they noticed that he was getting in, Watts mentioned like, "Hey, we'll know where they're going if we just shut them down. We won't know what they're after."
I mean,
Well, as we have established in this show, Watts is the only IT person on the known planet. Nobody else knows
Other than
anything about
Pietro, you mean?
computers.
Shit, you're right.
Watch.
Also, just
Sneed
like a
Dust Company uses Watts information.
yeah, just like a riddle random note here though, because this is also a very telling tiny detail there, is that Watts could have just let it happen. Watts could have just not said anything, but he made the comment to Ironwood like, "Oh, hey, by the way, you're getting they're coming in and stealing shit." Like, cause that means Watts is trying to work with Ironwood to get this something. Because he could have very well been like, "Shows you, I don't have to fucking tell you shit." Because Ironwood probably never would have known. He probably wouldn't have
Because
seen
he
it. Because
doesn't have
again,
any
there's
idea.
only two IT people in all of that. So they could have gotten away with it. Watts could have just let it happen and not given a fuck, but clearly, Watts is wanting something that makes him want to help Ironwood because he could have fucked him over there. You know what I'm saying?
He could have.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to that comment of given what we're after, I've got all the
Exactly.
motivation I need. I
Exactly.
don't think I think that Watts, yeah, you're right. Watts very easily could have let that just kind of blow by and just been like, haha, fuck you, Ironwood. But
They're
yeah,
after something.
clearly for the time being, they're on the same team. They want the same thing. So I think Watts, for whatever reason, Watts has made the judgment call that it's better to work with Ironwood, at least.
Yeah. I guess that was a telling moment for me,
Hmm.
showing that he's actually in the spirit of working with Ironwood, that it's not just a face he's putting on. He actually took like it's not just the guns to his head. He's
But
actually
it's definitely he's definitely playing some kind of chess here.
No,
There's
duh.
something in it for him.
obviously.
Sure.
I'm intrigued
will-
to see
he
what
will-
is making Watts at least attempt to build
Cooperate
a
for
rapport
now.
of trust
Hmm.
with
Yeah,
Ironwood,
yeah,
given
yeah.
his current situation. And
No,
I
he's
think
gonna
that when we
backstab
find
him
that out, we're
immediately
going to
when
be
he has
rather
a-
intrigued.
Yeah. When it's not useful to him anymore, Watts will totally like.
Oh, he'll shoot his
backstab him.
ass.
Yeah,
Actually,
totally.
no, he'll make Ironwood beat himself to death with his own arm for his
He
amusement.
will. Yeah. But
Also,
yeah, it
that
was
makes
a
me question
good
why on
moment.
earth you would put Watts near a computer terminal at all. Like,
Well, I mean, the guns, and there's probably something, like I'm
Because
believing.
Ironwood needs something.
I
No,
know
I
Ironwood
believe
needs
he's
it, but
Yeah, like Watts moves his hand to like type something, and like one of the soldiers is just like, "What are you doing?" And Watts is like, "I'm trying to hit backspace."
I want to
No
sketch
backspace.
that. I want a
What?
fucking 10-minute sketch of Watts trying to
Yeah.
type something.
God.
I wonder why they gave him even so much access, because if they could have just given him access to what he needs to like look at the footage and develop the virus and then maybe deploy it, did they really need to give him access to all the security information that
Again.
they're coming through right now? That's
These are
exposing
the-
a lot
these
of
are the
systems
same-
to Watts.
These are the same people that put the launch keys to Amity Coliseum on Ironwood's personal terminal, but also in the military base, and also Ironwood doesn't have to personally be there. And like,
I
again,
get it. It's
these
just,
are IT dummies.
Yeah,
I
it's
just-
true. It's kind of true.
This is
There's
Ironwood
only
here.
2
I
IT
expect them
people
to
in
be
all
more
of the world,
cautious.
guys. Cut them some slack.
Watts and Pietro are the only 2 competent IT people
In the world.
Well, you say Watts and I think Pietro's credentials in that department are questioned by the end of this episode, but we'll get there.
Yeah, but anyway,
mean-
after this scene, we get the coffee thing, right?
Oh
Number
Yeah.
one
yeah.
dead.
So
I
Um,
love it. I laughed out loud.
yeah, so
You lol.
poor
rolled.
Bill.
Bill from accounting, my boy.
My fellow man from accounting, leave the coffee in the fucking break
The
room.
dude just going off on him.
I know. Like the performances there were hilarious. It was
Every
such
time, Bill, you're always late. Like,
Clearly,
like-
clearly, it wasn't just the coffee. Like, there's
Yeah.
more going on.
I'm
read
gonna-
the sign, Bill.
Well, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say something controversial here. I think that coffee bit was one of the best scenes in RWBY of all time.
Done. Agreed. Seconded.
I'm gonna say it.
Confirmed.
Because not only were the performances there entirely like all of the energy that I needed, it caught me off guard how funny it was. The commitment to them having the poster that's like no food and drink, and the way that they did the jump to it, bro, I was laughing so hard. I haven't laughed at RWBY that hard in so long. Like, I've had a lot of stuff I've loved about RWBY, and it's been funny too. That moment, top like low-key top 3 funny moments in RWBY all time. Like Bravo Volume 8.
Like,
it was definitely a lot of fun. I think
The
I think part of the
execution
reason
really sold it. Like
I think part of the reason that bit worked so well, and there was a lot of stuff in this episode that like in its approach, in its execution, in its style, that reminded me very much of early RWBY.
yeah.
Like in just sort of like this sort of run and gun slapstick comedy, like, you know, that was kind of more akin to like, you know, like what we would expect out of something like Red versus Blue,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And yeah, I think that really shone through in this episode, and I think that that's always been one of Rooster Teeth's greatest strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's almost like apocalyptic sky whales and military leaders shooting civilians, and it's almost like that's like kind of dark.
A little bit.
And we haven't
Little bit.
really had a lot of light moments in the last while.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So this was a good, refreshing,
Yeah.
good, refreshing comedy bit.
And then
The dude
I'm
who
sorry.
got the coffee spill just running out of the room screaming.
Screaming. No, yeah, every part of this bit they committed to so hard, and the energy was so much. Like he was
Yeah.
like yelling bloody murder, and I lost my shit. Because they could have easily made this a kind of boring scene, like spills coffee, oh
Mm,
dick, like walked out. But no, they like
mm.
intensified it to such a comical level. And it was so fun and Ruby, like 10 out of
Yeah.
10, best scene. Holy shit.
Like,
Whoever
and
it
it's
was
like,
who insisted that
I
being
think
there, props.
especially as a Bridgers, like I look at a scene like that, and like those kinds of moments are the ones that you get to have the most fun with because the animation is over the top. You've got people screaming at each other. You can edit the sign to say whatever the fuck you want, right? And so, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I highly doubt we would ever get as far as actually abridging Volume 8, but that's the kind of thing that as an abridger you look at and you're like, oh, there's so much potential here to have so much fun. And so it's nice to see, I don't know, like you get to a certain point where when you're watching stuff, you can never turn off the like abridging part of your brain where you're going, oh, how would I make a joke out of that? And I haven't really, like, watching RWBY, I haven't really had that in a while because it's been so serious, but this was the first scene in a while where I was like, oh, the abridging gears are turning again. Mhm. And that is because it was so well put together. And
Yeah.
just they had a ton of fun with it, and when they have fun, it allows us to have fun as well.
So yeah, shout out to that scene, man.
Yeah. So yeah, they use Ruby's semblance to go through the room. Blake did not like being broken down to her molecular level one bit.
Her mask deleted.
Yeah.
It's totally a thing.
Here's my understanding of Ruby's semblance, right? You get broken down into your molecular level. That's like step 1 of RWBY semblance, and step 2 of RWBY semblance is like you get compressed into a zip file of your molecules.
Yes.
And then you get transported, and then at the end you get unzipped and then put back together.
She deletes your mass from the universe, carries you across space-time, recreates your mass out of nothing, and then reassembles you. She's a teleporter, but better.
My question is, are you still the exact same person you came out as you came in?
No.
I'm sure
Yeah.
teleportation
All of
theory
our
has a
characters are
number
dead
of
now.
questions about
Here's
this.
the one thing. Here's the one part of her semblance, though, that I still want explained. So we know that breaks down to molecular level. We know that apparently compresses your mass. But where the fuck are the rose petals coming from?
That's
I know,
step
it's just
3.
aesthetics.
That's step 3. Is that like, is that where the excess mass goes? Is that the rose petal?
God.
They're just really heavy rose petals.
They just look cool.
But
But yeah, one thing I noticed right when they did the jump, because I don't think they commented on this, or if they did, I guess I didn't hear it, I don't remember it. But they left Invisible Girl behind, and they jumped without her. And at first, when they jumped, I was like, "Oh, where is she?" And I mean, it makes sense for maybe her to stay behind to be on lookout, but she did a shitty lookout, if you ask me, with what happens a little later. So yeah, did they address that they were leaving her behind?
So
Or did
yes,
they just...
yes, they did. They left her behind. She wasn't supposed to be lookout. She went to the hangar to secure an airship for their escape.
Gotcha, you're right. Because I know she had mentioned, like, I can secure a hangar for escape, but I thought when she had said that, it was because they realized that they knew that they were there, and so that they were going to, like, try to leave then. But then they were like, no, complete the mission. And so that they had dropped that plan. But then it was like, oh, no, she is actually going to get that. Okay.
Yeah. No, she
Okay.
went and secured it, and then
Okay, there was
yeah,
just a
and they went on with
misunderstanding
the
on my
rest.
end
Yeah,
there. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, then she wasn't a lookout because she was shitty lookout if she was lookout.
So they get to the terminal, and then Pietro remotes into Penny
Kennedy.
for
Penny.
Penny for Amity. And they start getting all of their stuff together. And you're sighing. Go ahead and explain why you're sighing.
So this is why I say maybe Geppetto, not the best IT guy. Maybe don't put an internet connection in your daughter.
I mean, it was useful. He was able to remote in and do the shit. That's pretty good.
Right, but here's the thing. If you build a backdoor for you, you've built a backdoor for everybody else.
That is true.
So if he can remote into her and take control of her and turn her eyes yellow, I don't even have to put money down on saying that Watts is going to do exactly the same thing, only her eyes are going to turn red. Like it's just gonna happen.
There's a reason Penny uses a scroll most of the time. This should be why.
I mean, I feel like there's gotta be a firewall.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be hard to break into her.
Yes,
yeah,
but Watts
that's
is
why they need
literally doing
only
that
Watts.
right now.
Yeah.
Well,
This
Watts
is
is the only
Watts.
one that probably
Give him a few hours, maybe a few days, and he'll have it.
Well, my is maybe because this is Penny's father, right? And her aura comes from his aura. He gives up a part of his aura, it seems, to generate hers in order to make her. So I was thinking that maybe it's that relationship that allows him to do this. They didn't really address that, so I don't know if that is true or not, but that would be my hope, is that maybe it's a special thing that only he can do because they have that connection. I don't know, though.
Yeah. I imagine there's got to be some kind of internet connection involved with it. Now, I need to give a shout out to the sound designers on this episode. I loved everything about the UI sounds when Pietro had taken over Penny. The sound of her eyes and just all of the little bleeps and bloops and stuff it was all really, really wonderful. Really, really well designed. Really interesting. So then as Pietro is working, Yang, Weiss, and Nora are all just kind of chilling. And Nora opens up with what's going on with Ren.
Yeah.
This is a slightly odd timing for this conversation to have it in the middle of a mission, but
it was a good conversation.
Whatever, it was a good conversation.
I mean, they're bored. Blake's spinning around in the spinny chair. That's the universal symbol for boredom.
Yeah.
Of course. Naturally.
So, yeah, basically she admits that she doesn't know who she is without Ren. Other than be strong and hit stuff.
Yeah.
Insert joke here. She's the funny character, but
yeah, and I mean it's interesting to hear her talk about this because I feel like literally since Nora's inception from the beginning, I think that maybe this is actually part of what the writers are trying to combat, is that literally from her inception as a character, her and Ren have always kind of been a duo, right? Yeah. There's not they balance each other out. Ren is super zen and Nora is just hyper and crazy. And so the fact that they're the complete opposite and the fact that they're always together, you have this dynamic, and it's their dynamic that makes them fun characters, right? But we haven't really seen, or the show hasn't really explored who they are separately as their own characters. They've always been, from a writing standpoint, a pair, and so I think that is part of what they're trying to remedy here.
Yeah,
To address.
Ooh, do you think we're gonna get Nora backstory? Because I remember we had a whole bit. Was it back in volume 4? I think where we had a whole bit on Ren's backstory. But
yeah, and it intersected.
Nora just kind of shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be real cool to get Nora backstory, because Nora's just kind of like there in the town, and she's like homeless and no parents, and we don't really know. Like, we know what happened to Ren's parents, but we have no idea how Nora ended up like that.
Yeah.
Once again, she's defined by Ren at this. Even in her backstory.
Yeah. So, it would be. I'm definitely interested in learning more about, who Nora is outside of Ren. I also, though, really want to know what the fuck is Ren doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just needs to stop being a whiny little bitch.
It's a phase. I think he's just getting into it later than the rest of us.
Yeah, and he'll probably have a bro moment and go into some of it.
I really, really need that scene with Jean just being like, bro, stop fucking complaining. At least your girlfriend's alive, okay?
No, dude, yeah, we need it. We need it. But yeah, I wanted to say that I think that little scene, relatively weird timing, sure, but I think it was done really well, and I like the way that the girls responded to her, and it felt very natural and very real, like the way that they answered her, because the way that Nora brought it up is something that I think people, I can't think of the right wording for it, but that type of insecurity that she showed, where she's like, oh yeah, Jean's doing great, Oscar's doing great, then pauses, and then they're just like, clearly you're leaving someone out, because she doesn't want to say it out loud because she doesn't want to draw attention to it, but in doing that you're drawing attention to it. Like, it was a very cute way to do it, a very realistic way to do it. I've definitely had situations happen like that where you omit something, but that obviously is just going to draw more attention to it. Like, and it was very naturally led into in that regards, and the girls were very supportive, and I liked the way the conversation flowed.
Yeah, how Weiss like starts talking about her sister and sort of difficulties she's having there. Like, that was.
Well, I also liked kind of the conversation where, because like Blake was concerned about Ruby and Yang. He's like, I've never seen them fight like this, and and Weiss is just like, oh yeah, you're an only child, huh? You don't get the sisters thing. They'll be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, and the way Weiss like kind of was double speaking when she was like, yeah, sometimes sisters just aren't sure. Like, we know what you're talking about. Like, but I like that they did it that way. Like, it's a very wise thing to do. Yeah, great conversation there with some nice little build up to what happens a few minutes later.
Yeah. So then they have a conversation with Penny, because Penny is gonna go with Amity when it launches. That way she can be out of reach from Salem, and Salem won't be able to open the vault. And Penny,
she's got Winter Maiden powers now.
Yeah. And so Penny is upset about this, as she wants to stay and fight, but she recognizes it's for the best.
Yeah.
She says, I guess sometimes you have to do things that you don't really want to do. And when they go to leave, who is there to greet them but the Aesops?
Looking a bit more calm
and they're itching for a fight.
A little bit.
And now I don't think that they are meaning to do this, but boy, the beginning of this scene, the Aesops were kind of like hardcore gaslighting Penny.
Oh, they were.
Very.
They were going for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a reflection of what Ironwood gaslit her first, and Ironwood's been telling them all the shit, so they believe Ironwood. So like, they're an extension of him right now, and so yeah, they're gonna gaslight Penny. Like,
Yeah, I
he
mean,
totally meant that.
yeah, and of course, I don't think that it's coming from necessarily a bad place. I think that they genuinely
Believe what
believe
they're
what they're
saying. Yeah.
saying. But yeah, it's it's putting a lot on Penny, and it's just making this whole situation really hard for
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
her.
this whole season so far has just been, hey, let's just pile everything on Penny. Let's
Yeah.
just make her feel really bad about every decision she makes, whatever she decides, it'll be wrong. Like,
Yeah.
really, just rain on her parade. Some
Well,
more.
and I think I think that that's why RWBY has been so important to her this season, because like every RWBY is attuned to that. And so every single time that somebody is making Penny feel bad, gaslighting Penny, like RWBY is always there to step in and be like, "No, Penny, don't you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're
You
doing the
did
right thing. These people are assholes."
Yeah.
Well, it worked a little too well. She was like, all right, I'm going to take you all on myself. Goodbye.
Well, she didn't mean to do that, but I
It's
think
what
that
they wanted.
yeah, I think that Penny is probably not as accustomed to fighting other people. I think Penny is, because she's the protector of Mantle, she's more accustomed to fighting Grimm, and so she wasn't really expecting the Aesops to make a move of locking the rest of them out if she
Yeah.
stepped forward. So I don't think she was intending to fight them alone, but she definitely made a mistake.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was unfortunate. So Penny and Team RWBY get separated. And then we have Penny versus the Aesops, and it's our first major fight of the season.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank God.
Oh my God.
And it was pretty neat.
It was
It was
pretty
good.
neat.
It was nice to get some RWBY action. I could definitely, like, it was cool, but like I could definitely feel in this fight that they were like, okay, we can't make it too cool now, because we gotta save it for some stuff later, you know?
Yeah, I got that feeling. Like, guys,
Like
come
they were
on, this is
holding
the
back,
third
huh?
episode
Yeah.
already. Come on. Somebody
Yeah.
has to get hit. And for the most part, it was mostly the Aesops.
Somebody
raiding-
punch somebody else in the face, damn it!
Like they mean it, for God's sake.
I know.
Because, they could have been, or at least in my mind, I think the Aesops and Penny could have been by far more lethal had they chosen to. But circumstances, dictate that, they don't want to kill each other. One just wants to forcefully reclaim the other, and others defending their friends who are beside a locked door. Speaking of which, the rest of the team is kind of just shooting at it or letting Weiss handle it in the meantime, and they're being very calm about the entire situation. Where
Yeah,
I'd be
which is
flipping
so
the fuck
good.
out.
They're used to dealing with pressure, and so I think that them going back and them have already had like a plan to try to deal with it and kind of attempting to deal with it was good. And then I think that Nora moment of being like, wait a minute, hammer, electricity, yeah.
I
Now,
think it was a bit deeper
I
than
do
that,
have
though.
to I do have to point out just another audio thing in this episode. I mean, as usual, the sound was fantastic all the way through, and the sound of the fight was great. But I saw a little exchange on Twitter between Alex Abraham and Philip Spann, and if you don't know who those people are, you should definitely give them a follow, because they're really, really cool. Alex Abraham is the composer for RWBY, for all of the orchestral stuff. And Philip Spann is the re-recording mixer. He mixes all of the audio in the episode. And I saw on Twitter this little exchange where Alex Abraham said, "Okay, when I automate a bass/sub drop and Philip Span cranks it right before a massive magical explosion, I gotta thank my lucky stars that we've got him at the helm." And Philip Span responded, "Me, I have very high standards. Alex adds bass drop. Also me. You have met all my standards."
Yeah.
Bass drops are real good. So
When done well.
yes, and I can attest, in my own mixing, like whenever you've got a really great composer, and they add some really cool stuff into the music that kind of like serves in sort of a sound designy way, you're always like it's like a Christmas morning when you're like listening to the tracks and you're mixing it and you hear something that somebody else did and you're like, ooh, more of that. Push that fader up.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
Unfortunately, most of us don't know how to contextualize that, but thank you, Brian.
No, it's like the entire team, RWBY with a C, that works on this show is fantastic. The stuff that they do, and obviously because I'm an audio person, I give a lot of praise to the audio team. But yeah, they're just doing fantastic work. So everybody be sure to give them support. Support all of RWBY with a C.
Yes.
They're doing cool shit.
that.
Please and thank you.
Become a
so-
routine first member.
Yes.
Yes, they sorely need it, especially now.
Mhm.
So, let's see. So Penny fighting with the Aesops, and then Penny gets stayed.
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked about.
yeah,
why
the
doesn't he
time
just do this?
Yeah,
part?
why doesn't he? I was like, when he did that, I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing he could do. Why did he wait on this?
I
because
took
they
that as like
wanted
a sign of his not being fully committed to this action. He's been rather hesitant, and has been for a while now on Ironwood and some of his orders, if I recall correctly. And this was just, I think he got to the point it's like, all right, I have to intervene because I'd rather use this now than let this fight continue.
Yeah.
That's
But
what it
if the
felt
choice
like to me.
is use stay first and avoid fighting potentially,
Yeah,
or
it's true.
fight a bit
kind
and
of,
then
yeah.
use it.
Yeah. If I
Yeah.
had
So I think that maybe part of it is that he really can't hold it for long. Like that even shows up later where he's like, hurry up, guys! Like it's not gonna last much longer.
Yeah.
So I would definitely love to hear him talk more about, I guess his
decision making
on when to use that power and why it's not the first thing that he does.
Because if he was a
Yeah.
smarter boy, the minute that the doors closed and they were separated, like
Yeah.
he could have used that the minute Penny was in shock in front of the door alone, and like
Yup.
Yeah.
And his whole team, like these guys are supposed to be like super coordinated military guys. They're not friends. They're just coworkers. All they do is work together as a team, right? And like that's their whole shtick. So like they ought to know when he says stay, they all have like, oh, that means I do this now.
Yeah.
Like immediately, Mr. Stretchy Arms, grabs her. Harriet runs in and handcuffs her. Like they should have. I'm sure they have like a rhythm. When they hear the word, they hear him use stay. They're like, okay.
like for the level of competence that they're supposed to be, I do think I think that there would have been reason for there to have been a strat there, especially since they had already planned on trying to get her alone. Like, because they were like, now when they separated her, like I think it would have made sense for them to do that, because like usually I could suspend my belief to be like, oh well, heat of the moment, or he had to do it in the middle of the battle, da da da. But for what they're supposed to be, it would have narratively made sense, and kind of struck me as a similar moment to when Smarty Marty was on top of Oscar and Oscar was on the ground and the others were just standing there completely completely staring, not even trying to move.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, it kind of struck me as one of those moments. It's not like the worst thing ever, but it's like, come on. This
Yeah.
feels like there could have been, yeah.
And
Mhm.
we need like a little bit of an explanation of just like, well, Smarty Marty was really scary or something. It
Mhm.
maybe like had a fear aura or I don't know if they want to get to
Something,
that, but like
anything.
like
Yeah.
some reasonable explanation, right? Like in this case, maybe he has to charge up his stay power. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he gets like one per fight, and then he doesn't
Yeah.
want to waste it. I don't know. Like
So, it's not worth lingering on too much, but no, I agree. I think
Mhm.
that with what they're supposed to be, that that strategy not even coming to their mind, especially when they isolated her so quickly, and them wanting to have to engage her first before using it seems silly.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, Team RWBY is back behind the door, and Nora decides to be strong and hit stuff.
She does, and
This-
she does it.
Yeah, she charges up her electricity, and bashes down the door, and immediately passes out afterwards. And
Mhm.
now she's got some like gnarly veins.
Yeah, it was
yeah,
cool.
those look pretty weird. But
And she
this
went
had
Super Saiyan in her hair.
an interesting meaning for me because that conversation where she's like, "What am I supposed to do? Be strong and hit stuff?" I
Mm-hmm.
took that
Yeah.
as a rebuttal to that answer of, "No, you are not just going to be able to be strong and hit stuff. That's not all you are. There is more, and trying to be just that kind of backfired."
Mm-hmm.
That's why she passed the heck out. And heck, does anybody know if those are like electrical burns or if those are permanent? I'd like to know.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
we'll see.
those might be permanent now.
I
Yeah.
mean, Jean might be able to work his healing magic a little bit,
I
but
hope so.
Yeah.
That is a painful reminder of overstepping your capabilities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Ruby, Weiss, and Blake enter the fight against the Aesops just in time to save Penny.
Yeah.
And Ironwood, man, Ironwood's not happy about it. He's like, "Oh man, there goes our chance." But Watts is like, hang on, Ironwood. We haven't quite missed it yet. There are things. We have options."
Mhm.
Um, he says, "I have a message for your operatives." Um, and Harriet's not super jazzed about the idea of pulling out, but as the fight continues, they manage to steal one of Penny's swords,
Yeah.
and then the Aesops run away.
Yeah.
yeah, which
Here,
they kind of just pull off. I don't know if like
Yeah.
those are supposed to be like steel cables, right?
Yeah.
I have a couple interesting notes. If they had had the information Watts gave them before the fight, I could have understood why Marrow didn't use stay until later on. Because like you need her to actually pull those out so they're more easily
True.
extracted. But
That
they
is
didn't.
true. But yeah, he didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
An interesting narrative point. That's all.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So, Ruby and the team run to the hangar where Disappeary Girl, May Marigold, is waiting. And they fly off to literally no resistance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very concerning.
And they were
Which
in the middle of the Atlas military. Oh wait,
Yeah.
like the middle of the
Yeah.
military base.
I'm sorry, but the military industrial complex is not known for letting military hardware just fly out of the hangar with no resistance when it's being
I
stolen.
feel like, I mean, you
I mean,
might
the
be able
Aesop's,
to
like-
make an argument that, like, oh, all of the other air support is busy fighting airborne Grim, but like, yeah, it feels weird.
Maybe they let them go on purpose. Maybe that's part of Watts' plan. It's just like, oh, just let them go. Why on earth would we waste time trying to shoot them down or whatever? I'm just gonna hack into Penny and she'll bring them straight to us or whatever. Who's gonna care? Do you really care
Yeah.
about them? So long as they're not in your hair right now? No? Let them go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's an interesting
Possible.
point in the chat. Until this episode, I always thought Nora was just immune to electricity.
Likewise.
Yeah, like Nora's been struck by lightning multiple
Yeah.
times and she's
Yeah.
been fine. So
Yeah.
how fucking strong was this door?
Apparently
Yeah.
more strong than a lightning bolt. So that's
Apparently.
an interesting piece of food for thought right there.
This is it's like the door on Andrew Ryan's Office, and that's a BioShock reference for you.
Yeah.
Yup.
Oh man, good times.
um so yeah, they fly off and Penny feels responsible for what happened to Nora, so she's pretty bummed about that. And then Penny reluctantly leaves mid-flight for Amity, and Ruby tells her that they'll see each other again soon. And the Aesops are bummed.
Shadowing.
Yep. The Aesops are bummed about their loss, but Watts seems to have a plan.
Whatever could it be?
Yes, they receive Penny's sword, and his exact words are, "You know what they say. If you can't beat them, then make them join you."
Whatever could that mean?
Gee,
That's
they
not
haven't been
blunt.
alluding to that.
That's
Bum,
not
bum,
blunt at all.
bum. But
Oh
yeah,
my
we
God.
definitely know what's going on. It's not a secret.
It's really not. They're gonna fucking hack my girl. I'm sad. I'm scared, y'all.
Why do they need her sword to
I mean,
do
Because-
that,
I don't know.
though?
I would
A
assume
piece of
because
tech of the tech. I don't know.
and not just the tech. Think of what she has to do to coordinate those blades to do what she wants. I would imagine there's some level of communication going on. If not through the cable that's tied to her back, then via some kind of wireless communication that she can send signals to. So
Sure,
that would
sure.
be my guess.
Do you
Yeah,
think
I don't know.
maybe it's like trying to get access to, like maybe Pietro has made a few modifications since last Penny was
What
into
if,
the main shop, and they're trying to get at like the newer code that maybe she's got going on?
Like, so what if there has to be a hardwire connection, right? And they broke the wire. So now
Oops.
so now what they have to do, because this definitely makes sense as to how it would work, is in order to get the hardwire connection, they have to stab her with the sword.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
God.
It's a data blade. What the fuck?
Nah.
No.
Gonna be wild.
Just no.
Penny's just gonna wake up wherever she is and be like, "I'm Watts now."
It's like, would you like to meet my new body?
Hello,
This
I
is
am
the-
Penny.
I am definitely Penny. Yes.
I am definitely Penny.
Beautiful.
Watch Watts try to terribly impersonate Penny to say that nothing is wrong,
Nothing is wrong.
and then he forgets to say salutations.
Ignore
He
the
forgets
fact
to say-
that
yeah.
I just tried to twirl my non-existent mustache.
Whoops.
Oh my god.
Penny's just there waving her finger in front of her nose, like, Penny, what are you doing?
I'm hungry. You
So-
don't eat
You
Penny.
don't.
Right.
Oh
My
God.
bad. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's gonna
So
be fun.
on a random, unrelated to that note, but also from this last scene, I just realized Ironwood, right? He's got his human hand still that's got like its white glove on, and he's got his
Right.
robo hand that's all black, right? Like
Yeah.
cool and robo. In the fight with Watts, right? He only had one gun. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Maybe he had two. I don't know. He now has
Ironwood?
two.
I think Ironwood had two.
yeah.
Maybe he
But
had
he very
two.
quickly discards the first. I think.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go back and watch that. But like, he now has one white gun and one black gun
Oh, great.
on each that match his hands. Just in case you thought the whole good evil dichotomy wasn't being pushed hard enough with him, it's literally there visually.
Also, sort of semi-random note, but one that I kind of wanted to discuss. When I had the Patreon Discord server watch party thing the other day,
with our patrons, we were discussing some theories, and there was one theory I kind of wanted to bring up, and maybe you guys have already speculated this, but it's something that I hadn't really thought about to this degree until now. So you know Smarty Marty.
Yes.
Yes.
You know the theories that there are theories surrounding his creation. One kind of theory that we talked about was the fact that Cinder, for example, because she has like some grim bits on her, what if there's a metamorphosis stage to get to that level of grim? And that's kind of what she's doing to Cinder, which could
Oh.
imply that this Smarty Marty that we have, that's the reason she doesn't have a whole army of these sentient smart grim, because it takes a long time to create them, because
Smarty
they're yeah,
Smarty
because
Marty is Cinder Prime.
no. Or
Yeah.
what happened is there's potential that there is another person, maybe it's just a
No,
rando,
that's what
maybe
I mean.
That's what he
yeah,
said.
there's another person
Yeah.
that was maybe working under Salem that, was like, oh, I love you, Salem, and I'm nothing without you. And Salem was like, oh, of course, I'll give you some grim powers. And over time, those powers take over you and your mind because, you've given yourself to Salem. And so that represents like you literally give up yourself, you give up your being, who you are, and even your free will in a way, and you just become this thing that's a servant. And yeah, you maybe have like some maybe special abilities, but imagine if a grim had the maiden powers.
So basically Salem's out here making homunculus.
A little
Yep.
bit.
Yeah.
I
But that's why
swear to God, if I hear Smarty Marty go, Big Brother Edward.
Edward,
Ah,
like, so that's why I think it's an interesting theory. And so when I see people do stuff like, oh, what if it's Summer Rose, like at first I was like, no, but
Oh,
now I'm like,
No.
I still think it's a no, but like the
Yeah, I
fact that
don't
it
think
could be
so.
someone that had a life before, that for
Mhm.
whatever reason worked under Salem and got fucking grimified. And I think Cinder is on that path, and we might potentially see Cinder make it all the way there.
is
Shit.
is this why Crow was so upset about the birds thing? Was that Ozpin's version of this?
I don't know.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know, fam.
But yeah, I see you in the chat, Arcus. Yeah, it was a good conversation.
Mhm.
But yeah, what do you guys think about that theory?
I mean, it's the theory that makes the most sense thus far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It also makes you wonder if Cinder's already too far gone. Like, will she be able to just cut her arm off and just say we're all good here? It's fine, because she's had that arm a long time. Is it
Yeah,
too
and it's
late
been
for her
hurting
to
her a
get
few
loose?
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it is too late, she may just submit to her fate or try do like a
Mhm.
"I will screw you before I am subservient to you" moment, or that might be
Mhm.
what tips our potential defectors over the edge. Like, all right, we're gonna fucking leave, because most
I'm
certainly that's gonna happen to Cinder, and Cinder might want a way out. And by the way, she doesn't value our lives, so maybe we should just book it on the same ship. Just like, bye, nope, no thanks. I don't
Well, I
want to
think
become a.
Cinder's like on her deathbed, and she's like, Emerald, I need you to cut off my arm. I need you to save me from this curse. And Emerald's just like, no, you didn't
No, the
say
arm
hi
will
to me
grow
in the
back.
hallway.
People in the
Oof.
chat are saying Cinder's arm was cut off before and it grew back.
yeah.
Ooh, I'd
Well,
have to
you
look
might
back
have to
at that.
cut. You might need to cut it off like above the grim part.
Maybe.
Yeah. It depends if if the spooky arm or the goopy arm or whatever we were calling it is like more tumorous or more metastatic. That is to say, has it infiltrated other parts of her body? Is there just like
Mhm.
grim bits growing places that aren't just her arm? We
I'd
don't
definitely have to
know
go
the
back
full
and take a
extent
look.
of this grimification. So
Yeah. So, um, still waiting on that Cinder backstory.
yep,
But
it'll be
yeah,
next episode.
that was a prediction that I got wrong. I was really certain that we were gonna get more villains this episode, and we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess I stand corrected, but maybe next episode we'll get more villains.
Maybe.
So you just keep saying that, and eventually you'll be right.
Eventually,
I mean,
we'll get more
true.
villains.
That is how that works.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any predictions for next episode?
I want some Whitley.
Ah, right.
Oh, that'd be cool. I feel like
Whitley?
that's gonna be a little. I feel like that's gonna be a little bit later.
I'm personally thinking that if they want to set things up, run episode 3. I think that he should probably appear in the next episode, maybe 2. If he's going to
just
appear at
really
all,
give us
because even though there is like continuity, it's like if you've watched the previous season, you know what's going on. But just to have him show up near the end of the season with no reference for what he's been doing for the past, I don't know how long has passed, is kind of
because
jarring.
Papa even mentions him early on, and so I think we're gonna need to at least have like a minute scene of him doing something.
Just like maybe another reference would do it. Like we've had his name dropped, so he's obviously going to be relevant. But just something to delineate that he will actually be playing a role of some kind would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Forrest?
Let's see. I like the villain's prediction. I'll double down on that one and say we may get some villains next episode. Yeah, I don't know. It's time for Ironwood to do another crazy thing. So, that's a thing.
I mean, he already did something crazy. He put Watts in front of a computer.
That's true. That's true. But
It may
crazier.
It may not have been shooting a person, but he may as well, especially if Watts gets loose, kill who knows how many people when he gets loose.
Yeah, he's gone a whole episode without shooting somebody. This is like a new record.
We're only on episode 3, Brian. We're not even closer to talk about records yet.
Oh no! I just thought, wait, they set Watts down in front of a computer, right?
Yes.
And he has access to like security cameras from around the military base.
I literally mentioned that. Why does he have access to that?
He probably has access to the cells that they're holding the rest of the gang.
Oh god.
In, huh?
Probably.
He gonna set Tyrion free. That's what's gonna happen.
No.
Oh no. Well, no, Tyrion's up with Salem.
Tyrion's up with Salem, but
yeah,
if he
Tyrion
wanted to make a deal with Mr. Schnee, Jacques is still in there.
Yeah.
Robin
You're right.
Yeah.
And Jacques.
It's Robin Crow and
Tyrion's long gone.
Yeah.
But
he could let them out.
I don't think he'd let all of them out. I think he'd let out Jacques.
Well,
I don't know.
It depends on how much.
He can't really
chaos.
fight. He might, and Watts isn't like a super great fighter either. I feel like he might want to contract in some professional huntsmen to help him.
Ooh.
Yeah, if there's gonna be a takeover, it'll be funny because he'll let out Robin and Crow, and then Jacques will be in there like, what? Come on, guys, let me out, and they'll be like, nah, and he'll be like, what?
That's fair.
Nobody likes you.
It'll be funny.
That
He'll be in jail.
we've heard Crow and Robin they have a new plan. They want to go kill Ironwood, right? They agreed on that.
They're down.
And what is what's Watts's problem right now? Ironwood's breathing down his neck. Well, if that problem were to be taken care of, he'd have free reign of Penny and the Winter Maiden powers, wouldn't he?
Ah, he would.
I love the fact that this potential plot exists, and I will be even more happy if they follow through on it, because you know what's interesting? Villains and protagonists teaming up to take care of a mutual problem.
Not like last season. Please,
not like last season, but like something we would actually find agreeable.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
To a certain extent, I can understand working temporarily with Watts, but Tyrion.
Tyrion's too crazy to be worked with on any particular basis, unless you're able to kill him immediately, like Salem.
Unless you're Salem.
Yeah, you can obliterate him.
Yeah. Like, I bet Salem could, like, snap her fingers and he'd just explode.
Yeah, she would Thanos snap him out of existence so fast.
Yeah.
She
Little bit.
wouldn't have to. Salem could just say die, and he would do it.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. He would just sting himself with his own tail and keel over dead.
Yeah.
Little bit.
So, I guess my prediction is, I think because this episode focused so heavily on RWBY and RWBY's group side of things, I think next episode we're gonna move back over to Yang and her group, and they're chasing after Oscar, which is why I think we're gonna end up with more villain stuff.
Well, I mean, they did escape the Atlas Industrial Military Complex, excuse me, so I see no reason why we can't cut back to them. I'm not sure if they will. I think this might be a point where they might start to converge again, because they've escaped the Atlas military compound. Now would be a good time for them to get a transmission saying, oh shit, we fucked up.
See, you say that because like my first thought at the end of this episode was like, oh wow, they took care of that mission in a single episode, like, so now they can just go back and work together. But I was like, nah, that's too easy. Something's gonna happen. Like they're gonna have to remain separated, I think, a little bit longer this season. That's my prediction.
By the way, has anybody come up with team names for the split teams yet?
I don't know.
I don't know if anybody has. That just occurred to me because we have 2 sets of 4. Has anybody come up with team names for those?
Team Protect Mantle and Team Fuck Ironwood.
You know what? Good enough. I'm
I
sure
dig
we can
it.
make
Do
those
for now.
initials fit somehow.
I dig it. That's canon. I need art.
Fan artists in the chat, you've received your directions. Please submit your submissions to Katie at your convenience.
Yes, of course. Yes. Put it in the RWBY Volume 8 spoiler discussion in our public server, or tweet at us at RWBYABRG. We will retweet it.
Or just spam Katie.
Don't do that.
No, actually, don't do that. That's a very bad idea. Please don't.
See. Katie, did you I can't remember. Did you give your predictions?
Yeah. I think we're gonna I think that we are probs going to get some Whitley. That is
Right.
my prediction and my desire.
Okay. Cool. Well, I think we did a podcast, guys.
Yay!
Have we reached the end?
I think we've reached the
Yeah.
end. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, we will be back next week at the same time to talk about RWBY Volume 8, Chapter 4, whatever the hell the title of that episode will be. Yeah, excited for it. You can find, be sure to, just as we said before, if you haven't yet, be sure to join our Discord server. Lots of good RWBY spoiler talk in there. Just overall lots of fun stuff. We also have a Patreon and a Patreon server that you can join. And as Katie was saying earlier, we do RWBY watch parties with the free episodes every week. That I wasn't there for that yesterday. That went well, I take it?
It did. It was really fun. We watched episode 1 and 2, and then we did like a discussion after each episode for like 5 minutes, and discussed some theories, discussed how it went, and it was a fun time.
Hell yeah. So if you want to be a part of that, maybe think about joining our Patreon. And so you can find me. I'm at Hubbard Audio on Twitter, and I'm at Hubbard Audio in all of the RWBY Discord servers. Ian, where can they find you?
You can find me on the RWBY Discord server. I am Ventress. I am an admin. If you're having problems, let me know. It's my job.
Hell yeah. Hey, Forrest, where can they find you?
I'll be right here on this podcast next week talking about RWBY, and in between, I guess I just don't exist.
Hell yeah, you phase in and out of existence. You exist only once every Sunday.
I feel that.
My matter is deleted from the universe in between.
Yes, much like RWBY.
Much like RWBY Sim.
And Katie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kaniday Official, Kaniday Official. And yeah, I'm also in Dr. Crafty on YouTube, where I'm a writer and a voice actress. I also have a podcast, Weird Flex But Okay Podcast. We do it once a month, and it's on iTunes and SoundCloud. Me and Jordan Jax Blade Downs. And of course, you can find me here at RWBY Productions, KRWBY Productions on the YouTubes, on Twitter at RWBYABRG, on Patreon at RWBY Productions, and in Discord. Our RWBY Productions public Discord server is linked down below. Please join us and join in on the discussions for RWBY Volume 8. And of course, if you'd like to join our Patreon and join that Patreon server, we've said it a billion times, but that's how you do it, fam. We'd love to see you in there. We'd love for you to join our watch parties or just have a good time with us. Whatever you want to do. You don't have to pay for our content, but if you do, there's some perks.
Yeah. And we love you if you do.
It's true. There is like a little bit of love that's like a bonus.
Yeah.
Now that we don't love our
Yeah.
regular fans, but we just might love you a little bit more.
A little bit, maybe.
All right.
I mean,
Thank you guys.
Talk around to find out.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next week. Bye.